I'm Alan Girding, and this is Mothershow, the show that's all about Mothership, the sci-fi horror role-playing game by Sean McCoy. And today, we're gonna look at stuff that has to do with Zero Edition. We're currently at First Edition, so Zero Edition is the old edition. We've covered some of this stuff before, and we're gonna cover some of it in the future, but today, we're gonna talk about the Trifold Brochure Adventures. Yeah. These are the Trifold Adventures. You can find these on our website. Buy all our shit. These are fantastic. That Trifold Brochure. They're wonderful one-shots. I think these are diamonds in the rough. Let's suppose you've got someone coming over for an adventure and you only have about 10 minutes to prepare. 10 minutes? Oh shit, that's nothing. Maybe your friends are already there and they say, hey, let's play some Mothership. You're like, okay, let me take a dump. So while you're on the can, you can just look at one of these, and by the time you're done wiping and cleaning, and I do recommend you use a bidet, you will have an adventure ready by using these trifolds. First thing, I'm gonna go over them lightly so there isn't a plot spoiler, telling you the synopsis without telling you the key details. So without further ado, let's jump into this, starting with the Haunting of Ypsilon 14. I love the structure of these because they're pretty consistent. If you look, you can see on the back is the credits right there, and on the front, spoiler-free synopsis. Haunting of Ypsilon 14, for instance, if you look at the back here, you can see this is by D.G. Chapman, and the layout's by Sean McCoy. I'm not supposed to play favorites, but the Haunting of Ypsilon 14, most likely my favorite because of the layout. The thing I love, you start here, and the map has all the information already integrated into it. So instead of having to look at a location and then read what's in that location, it's right there in front of you. I'm getting ahead of myself. What is the plot? During a routine cargo job on a remote asteroid mining base, you learn that one of the workers has disappeared. No blood, no body, no record of an airlock opening, just gone. And that's not the only unexplainable thing that's been happening in Ypsilon 14. What is this alien material at the heart of the asteroid? What do the weird events around the base have to do with it? Who, if anyone, can be trusted? And can you make it out alive before you also disappear? Ah! So there's quick little plot hooks for Ypsilon 14. Dinoplex Cataclysm. Do 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 do. Writing by Yusem, the same one, did The Drain that we talked about. Also, Ian currently has a Kickstarter up right now. You can check out the link in the description below.
Welcome to Hull Breach. You're gonna wanna back this thing. It has a whole bunch of goodies. Yeah, it's not first party, but man, it is beautiful. This is a collection, a massive adventure and supplemental anthology. Over 200 pages, color, oh my goodness. It's brought to you by an international team of third-party Mothership authors, designers, and artists. Don't get much better than this. Look how beautiful it is. I totally recommend you back it. I did, so should you. But anyways, he wrote Dinoplex Cataclysm, legal writing by Emily Weiss, design Merida Silver, and layout Eric K. Hill. A seedy dinosaur theme park on an aging ring ship station. Visitors enjoy thrilling, perfectly safe journeys into ages past until a pyrotechnics malfunction throws the park into chaos, releasing starved dinosaurs and sending electric systems haywire. And I love this logo for use with Mothership. Ah, it's such a beautiful logo. Want to do some Jurassic Park action? This I love because of the look of it. This is like one of those handy dandy maps. Actually has what you would get if you were visiting a theme park. You are here, here's all the different things. I love this layout and setup. It's gorgeous, so on point thematically. We'll get into more details later on. Coming up next, Hideo's World. Man, that's hard to read. What does that part say? Oh, I can't read it because it's in a different language. That's why I can't read it. Who's this by? D.G. Chapman, layout by Sean McCoy. Why, that sounds familiar. Oh, that's because that same team that did Ypsilon. So what is the premise of Hideo's World? It's a search and rescue mission, but virtually. This one definitely gives you the Ready Player One vibe. Maverick inventor Hideo K designed the Hypno DD, a prototype games console that could be played while sleeping, running slickware in place of the user's dreams. If you're not
not familiar with what slickware is, slickware is this idea you can hack the human brain. Think of the Matrix. I now know Kung Fu. I can just upload the data. So that's the idea of slickware, hardware/software into the human brain. Moving on. With the tech too expensive to mass manufacture, Hideo attempted to turn a profit on the project by selling ad space within specially made Slick World and broadcasting his own dreams via satellite as entertainment. When this failed to make an impact and the satellite broadcasting system was shut down, boom! Hideo resigned to a life of drug-induced coma, living in the game world he had created. So Hideo is now in a coma, he's living alone, and in this virtual Ready Player One world perpetually. This couldn't last! Uh-oh. As time passed, the imperfect neural link gradually deteriorated. The slickware, like a cassette played too many times. Hideo's reality is beginning to fall apart. To reach Hideo, you must enter the Hypno-DD Slick World via direct wired interface and find him before the system data and his mind fades into static. Ooh, I love this and hate it because it has that hideous Comic Sans font that we all know so well from the early internet of the 90s. I love the graphics too. They're definitely reminiscent of early internet as well. The job is to go ahead and find Hideo. Last but not least, the one we're going to be covering is The Hacker's Handbook. Who's this by? Luke Gearing, Kevin Whitlock, and Sean McCoy. Special thanks to David Wilkie, edited by Jarrett Crater. Oh, our editor-in-chief, Jarrett Crater, edited this one. So what the heck is The Hacker's Handbook? Best explained by its title. It is The Hacker's Handbook. A lot of times in Mothership, when you're playing, you're going to come across some computer interfaces and you're going to need to hack. That's actually one of the skills, is hacking computers, etc. Well, instead of just making it a simple skill roll check, you can actually make it more interactive using the Hacker's Handbook. Make it a game within a game. Hacking in Mothership can be a lucrative, if dangerous, skill for any crew member to acquire. It can open doors, control gun turrets, and expose sensitive information. Most hacking checks are simple. An electronic airlock is locked and the hacker makes an intellect hacking check, and if they succeed, the door opens. Easy. However, if your scenario requires a more robust challenge, say hacking into corporate research station's primary database, you may want to design a network. What? So what the heck is a network? Here we go. Spoiler rich. Diving into each of these a little bit deeper. So here we need to know what a network is in order to understand the Hacker's Handbook. A network is an interconnected system made of a series of nodes. Networks can be big and sprawling with dozens of nodes, or they can be small and simple with only a couple of nodes of note. Here's an example of a network. This is the Jump One research vessel Noah 4. The ship has two networks made of 6 nodes each, connected via the captain's encrypted terminal. So if you look at this, here's one network and here's another network, and there's 6 nodes in each of these. Now, if you look at each node, it has a brief description. Intranet, unsecured, databank, null response. Well, what the heck does that mean? Well, let's move on, because we look at the nodes, it explains the nodes in greater detail up top here. A node can represent a modems, hub, printer, computer, personal digital assistant, electronically controlled utility, or any other virtual software or connected device. Each node is defined by 3 things: its function, its security, and its response. So here's a section that tells you what a function is. Here's a section which tells you what security is, and then here's the section that tells you what response is. Function. A node's function is a simple description of what the node does. Several examples include like an access point, data storage, is it a router, firewall, uplinks, relay, bridge, and it gives you the descriptions of each of those functions. So pretty much, what does it do? But here's where it gets even more interesting. The security, the second of the 3 features of each node. Gazoon tight, Gilly. Got my dog over here, Gilly, sneezing her nose off. Node security represents how difficult the node is to hack. And there are 4 levels. Unsecured nodes are open for anyone to use. They have no password protection, security of any kind. It's just fair game. But then you have secure nodes, require hacking check. Hardened nodes are heavily fortified and require hacking with disadvantage. If you're unfamiliar, anytime you see that little negative sign, that means it's at disadvantage. You roll twice, you take the worst of the 2. Encrypted nodes cannot be hacked with a hacking check. Instead, they require private encryption key, a PE PEK of a user who has access to the network. PEKs can be acquired through theft, interrogation, social engineering. That's up to your adventure. How the heck do you get these? So these 4 levels allow you to quickly establish how hard the hack will be and communicate that to the hacker so they know what they're up against. So if we go back to the node here, we can already see our first 2. You have your internet unsecure, meaning it's free reign. Engine control, hardened. Let's go to the 3rd of the 3 features, and this is the response. The network's measures of how severe the reaction is from any network administrator, operator, automatic security features, overseer, AIs, etc. that safeguard the network. A network's response is rated from null, meaning there's absolutely no response, so you don't have to roll in this table, to +5, rapid and severe response. So whenever a hacker fails their hacking check, they roll on this response table, unless of course it's a null response, meaning you don't have to roll in it. But the response could have +1, +2, +3, meaning you add to your roll. So ideally, you want to roll low, because if you roll a 0, warning, network response +1 if you fail again. Roll a 1, device is remotely powered off. Pew! All right, that's not severe, but you're gonna have to look elsewhere. 2, user account locked out for 1d10 hours, meaning even if you do power it back on, you're not able to access it for another few hours. Security member dispatched to investigate arrives in 1d10 rounds. Let's look at the last one. Tactical response team deployed on seek and destroy mission arrives heavily armed in 1d5 rounds. Wow. So think of these almost as like the stars in Grand Theft Auto. And if you roll 9 or higher, that's the full stars. You got the helicopters and the tank and everyone coming for you. Wasted. And then it gives you some examples of other responses: denial service, backhack, malware attack, power overload. In case you don't want to use this table, they give you options right here. So if we go back to each of these nodes, now you know what it means when we say engine control, harden, infrastructure, +4 response. Ooh, so it's pretty risky when you see that +4 to try to hack this node. Very good stuff. If we look at the back, we have an equipment table. So here's some other things you can buy. I'll give you some examples. A brick boy for 300 credits, a portable dongle which fries hardware on triggering event. A koi boy, oh my goodness, is that a Two Rooms and a Boom reference? I like to think so. That's for 2 kilocredits. Reduces responsive node by 1d5. Oh, okay, it's pretty nice. Koi boy just reduces the response. And then last but not least on this, we have this section here which tells you about user accounts. Instead of directly hacking a network, crew members can gain access to a user account. While having direct access to a user's account circumvents the need for hacking, each account is limited in its permissions. For example, here's guest accounts, employee accounts, administration accounts. All right, so this just goes into greater detail as to what type of accounts there are and what access they have. And there you have the Hacker's Handbook to really enhance your experience with hacking in Mothership. This is very easily convertible to first edition. In fact, I don't think you need to change anything. So this is already first edition ready. Boo-boo. Let's go to Hideo's world, the search and rescue of the brilliant mind of Hideo. So basically, you log in, and you get into this virtual matrix world that's a video game. Think of World of Warcraft VR type of deal. You start right in here and you have 4 doors you can go into. So what are these 4 doors? Well, plot spoiler. Here's the main goal. The main goal is to find Hideo. Hideo is in the tower, and the tower is listed on the back here on this page, and he is at the top of the tower in the bedroom. So now you know the main premise is you're gonna get in and players are gonna be wandering around here, bumbling around, trying to find Hideo. I just got off the toilet and it's time to play Hideo's world. So I have my players jack in to this virtual world and they end up right here. But here's some basic rules you need to know, and this raises the stakes. Hideo starts with 1 stress. He gains 1 stress whenever something glitches. He makes a panic check whenever violence breaks out and when his bedroom is entered. Whenever Hideo panics, a random location collapses in on itself as the slick world loses stability. The last thing to go will be the exit. So it's very possible to fail this as things start deteriorating. The last thing goes the exit, and if you stay in too long and the exit deteriorates, well then you're stuck in Hideo's world forever. Okay, so we start in the adventure here. Okay, adventurers, you've just logged in and there you see an exit behind you, but you see 4 doors. Above each door, there's different symbols. Above the first door, there's a gear with a type of wrench above it. Above the second door, there is a disc. Third door, a padlock. Fourth door, storehouse. So then we talk about the plaza. This is the menu screen of the Hypno DD, represented as a physical space. The communication tower is in the center with 4 doors at the opposite end, and here it tells you what's in each of these doors. 1, settings. It's an empty room with a menu panel listing the hardware settings that affect the Slick world. Brightness, time, date, connection test, restore data, etc. But you have to be careful because you can run into glitches. And remember, when you run into a glitch, you're gonna gain 1 stress, or I should say Hideo gains 1 stress. In the distance, a short tower can be seen on a floating island. The way to the island is blocked by Canyon of Glitch Sea. If the Coaster Hero game is activated, a roller coaster bridge will cross the rift. Otherwise, players must find their own way across. All right, so it tells you here how you get that coaster activated. Here's some denizens. These are things you might run into while you're in Hideo's world. Bugs made of the same weird broken code as the Glitch Sea. Causes a glitch in any object that they touch. Won't attack the players unless commanded to by Mr. Goodnight. And then here's Mr. Goodnight. Who's Mr. Goodnight? An NPC from the Hypno DD software. Mr. Goodnight is a moon-headed mascot and a registered trademark of the Passigen Pharmaceuticals and Soft Drinks Company, created to promote their soda. Over time, his emergent AI was corrupted through exposure to the Glitch Sea. Now Mr. Goodnight is despotic, paranoid, and exceedingly vain. He wants Hideo to stay in his coma because as an NPC, Mr. Goodnight will only exist while at least 1 person is logged into Hypno DD. So he lives in the tower, holding Hideo prisoner, only leaving to investigate strange occurrences in the plaza. Although he has no particular strengths, his mellifluence voice can command the bugs to do his bidding. All right, so here we have our antagonist, Mr. Goodnight. And then Hideo is the last one, creator of the Hypno DD. His real body is in a coma, but his virtual self is asleep at the top of the tower. If woken, he can be persuaded to leave if there was an interesting problem for him to solve, especially. So Hideo's mind will slowly deteriorate as the Slick world collapses around him. So then once you get to the tower, flip to the back, and then here's the tower, and here you have 8 more rooms. And if you look, the room number 4 is the bedroom. The bedroom's at the top of the tower. So the bedroom, if you read here, cozy attic nook, large circular window, a few virtual keepsakes. Hideo's here asleep. Mr. Goodnight sits by his bed and watches him, only leaving to investigate interesting events outside of the plaza. Aha! So there you have Hideo's world. I just got off the crapper and my friends, before I went in, said they wanted a dinosaur adventure. Dinoplex Cataclysm. So this is pretty straightforward. Here you have this map and it gives you information on each of the locations. But you'll notice each of the locations will have something that says post-disaster, 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 meaning there's information of what this location's like before the pyrotechnics sets everything astray and now all the dinosaurs are loose, and what's different once it's after the disaster. We'll look at the parking hangar for instance. Parking hangar. It's a dingy, cramped lot with blinding fluorescence and valet parking. There's a tacky gift shop, a neglected visitor center with echoing muzak and wildly inaccurate info booths accessible without a day pass. Visitors search for contraband, weapons, and DNA samplers and sign liability waivers before entering. Post-disaster. Oh my goodness. A hangar exit doors locked by control, crowds trapped with dinosaurs, and ships take off and open fire in panic. It's total chaos in the parking hangar. So what is the plot hook here? You could have the players come in just for a little vacation, maybe some R&R, maybe you're doing this as a shore leave adventure, or here's the other thing. You can have players as a plot hook go in here and try to steal the dinosaur DNA and sell it to competitors. Therefore, you're doing like the whole Newman aspect of coming in and trying to sell to the highest bidder. So here's some Warden notes to begin. Campaign play. If a Dino Park vacation doesn't tempt your players, competitors pay handsomely for DNA samples and exorbitantly for live specimens. All right, so there, what I just told you. One shot, characters begin with 10 stress. Normal operations, carnivorous dinosaurs usually caged, 10% of them are loose. Non-player characters complicate and endanger casual tourism. Post-disaster, all dinosaurs are loose. Scenario becomes a mad rush to escape. Roll or choose post-disaster encounters every 2 hexes during lulls in danger. And you do notice it does have a hex here, so this is a bit of a hex-based system. All right, what else do we have here for Warden notes? Carousing. Engaging with attractions heals 1 stress. Morally dubious indulgences heal 1d5 stress with a sanity save or gain 1. And then here's the liability waiver. Give players 2 minutes time to read and sign before entering the park. Well, where's this liability waiver? Do we have the liability waiver that they get to read here? Where do we get the liability waiver? There must be a place you can download the liability waiver. I don't see it here though, but interesting. All right, maybe I'll find it later on in here. All right, so let's look at some other interesting things about this. Here's some random items: access key card, chewed up smart rifle, a foam gun, and here's a patch. Oedipus Rex, dinosaur with the tragedy mask. That's pretty funny. I would buy that patch. That's hilarious. I'd get it if it was an ammo pin. I just love this idea of Oedipus Rex being a dinosaur. And patch DNR, dinos are radical. That's pretty clever. And then it lists some NPCs for you. Sonny, Hawaiian shirt and straw hat. He's an old grifter impersonating the park's founder to scam employees. Let's look at number 5. Here's a bounty hunter punks tormenting employees for kicks, loaded on implants and subdermal weapons. Vanichka, Tony the T-Rex mascot suit, belligerently drunk, beaten senseless by security if complaint filed. That's some funny stuff. And of course we have post-disaster encounters listed here. And then here's some stuff you can get at the gift shop. Here's the day pass, it's 50 credits, private park reservation, Dodo Burger, 5 credits. That's interesting. It was 8 credits, now it's 5 credits. I like that it's on sale now. A lot of little Easter eggs in here. Oh, and here's Black Market Dinosaur Egg and Bribes, 1 million credits. Oh man, so you can just go ahead and buy that stuff if you want. I'm not sure how much the competitors are paying, but it better be more than 1 million credits. So there you go. Go in for fun, try to steal, try to escape with your life, the Dinoplex Cataclysm. Last but not least, let's talk about the Haunting of Ypsilon 14. This one fits the more classic sense of a one-shot. You are tasked with a very specific mission. You're supposed to come on in and find out what the heck's going on, where that missing person is, and what's this mysterious goo. Here you have the locations. You start here at the docking bay, and I, no joke, true story, improvise this. I hadn't read it before, and I had people come up to our booth at conventions at the Tuesday Night Games booth, and they said, well, what is this? And I'm like, well, it's a one-shot adventure. We can play right now if you want to. I'm like, sure. You land at the docking bay. The crew dock's here to pick up some cargo en route to a trading satellite. Sonia, and I love how this is in big and bold, so it lets you know what we're talking about. Sonia greets you and authorizes your docking, opening the airlock using the workspace computer terminal. So here in bold, just like one of those parser-based adventure games, it tells you the most important things that are in that area. Sonia and workspace computer terminal. And you're gonna see that throughout. On the back here, it gives you the reference to these things. It's so wonderful. Here's a quick reference for the NPCs. Mike is the mining engineer who disappeared last night. Nobody knows why or where he is. Dr. Ethan Giovanni, the geologist, arrived a little over a month ago, sent by the company on business that's above the miner's pay grade to know about. He has been making frequent trips into the mine with scanners and equipment, but the workers don't know what he's been doing. What is Dr. Ethan Giovanni up to? He hasn't left his ship since emerging from the mine yesterday, talking about samples and a discovery. Then here's Sonia, which we already met. She greeted us. Team leader at the base wants to find out what's going on. She reported traces of a strange substance, the yellow goo, see back panel, found in the mine a couple of months ago, but hasn't thought much about it since. So Mike has been acting a little odd since they found this yellow goo. Then have Ashraf, Dana, Jerome, Kentaro, Morgan, Rye, Rosa, and Prince, the base's cat, brought aboard against regulations by Morgan, hates baths and can see the monster. So here is the monster details. Here it gives you your stats, an invisible alien being that was sleeping in a pod within the meteorite, held in stasis on an interstellar voyage before the mining disturbed it. Oh, there's the plot. There's the monster. Oh my goodness. Gives you special abilities. Devour. Mouth uses powerful suction and circular rows of sharp teeth to devour its prey, like a lamprey. Once devoured, players must make a body save every round or take a critical hit. Devour leaves no trace, consuming any and all organic material, the victim appearing to vanish chunk by chunk as it enters the monster's visible digestive tract. Oh man, interesting. Bioscanner, climber, different abilities. All right, so yellow goo. Let's see what the yellow goo is. Yellow goo, back panel. If damaged, the monster will retreat to its pod in the mine antechamber, number 9. I love how this is numbered here, right? Let's go to number 9. Number 9, there's the mine antechamber. Okay, going back to the goo. It will remain here for 10 minutes of real time as the yellow goo repairs its injuries, healing its health, but not its hits. Ooh. Again, this is 0 edition, but you can consider hits like wounds. Anyone who comes into direct contact with the yellow goo must make a body save at disadvantage or have their biology slowly rewritten from the inside as the yellow goo attempts to heal them. The first sign of change is an aversion to water. The victim regains all health and and gains advantage on strength checks. However, in 2d10 hours, they will start to melt, losing 1d10 health every 10 minutes until they turn into a puddle of yellow goo. What? Oh my goodness. I love how if you look at this quick reference, it has a lock symbol here letting you know you can't just go to the airlock without unlocking it first. How do you unlock it? The details are in here. If I remember correctly, it's from a workstation computer. Here's the mineshaft, mine entrance. I'll tell you what happened with the players that joined me at the booth. They went down the mineshaft right away. It says that you need a hazard suit, and they didn't put on their hazard suits before they went in there, and so they instantly suffocated. Because if you look, here's also these other warning signs, these quick symbols. No oxygen right there. So they have these nice references. This little disc, I believe, tells you that there's a computer terminal there, etc. Washrooms. I love it. Quick reference. Just grab this and go. Here you have the Trifold Adventures. Which of these are you most likely to pick up after hearing some of what I had to say about them? Are you going for the Hacker's Handbook? Or maybe you want that one-shot adventure of the Haunting of Ypsilon 14. Maybe you want some dinosaurs or a virtual world. Which will it be for you? What did you think of this? Please let me know. Did I screw anything up? Do you have any questions? I love your comments. Leave them. Helps the algorithm out. You know what really helps us out? Is if you pound the shit out of that subscribe button, like us, do all that rigmarole. And you know what? Thank you so much for watching. I'm Alan Girding. This is Mothershow. I'm out of here.